Good morning. Welcome at the discussion of Beetle Buggies. And in this discussion, we are going to look at the 5 steps necessary to calculate the cost per unit, first of all, and then to allocate the total cost to the different units in process costing. So we will start our solution with step 1, which is the timeline. And very importantly, people, when you look at the timeline, remember it's a picture of what is going on in this production department. So if I look at the timeline is a line that goes from 0 to 100, and once you are in process, you can only go forward. Another important thing to show on the timeline is how and when material is added. In this question, they tell us that body parts is added from the process starts until the process is 40% complete. That's the body parts. Our second material that we add is the bonnet, the hood, and the doors. This happens when the process is 52%. So let's just say doors there. The next material is the tires that we add when the process is 65% complete. And the last material that we add is the windows, and that happens when the process is 85% complete. Now you must see all these material where we add the material as pit stops, where we will have the situation that when units pass the point, they receive all the material. Right, so let's look at the different units that we have in process costing. The first grouping of units is opening balance work in process. Now for opening balance work in process, they tell me at the beginning of the month, those units was here on 40% of the process. So what will we do to those units in this month? We will start them, we'll add the doors, we'll add the tires, we'll add the windows, and it will reach 100%. So that is my opening balance, and there we've got 10 cars. Then we also have our closing balance. Now closing balance, people, is units that we started, and in this question we stop when the process is 10% complete. So this little green line here is my closing balance, and they tell me it is 20 cars. The next bit of information that the question supplied me with was units started. So let's put them here. Those are units that came into the process. So units started according to the question is 45 cars. So far we've got opening, started, and closing. But remember, we also need to get units started and completed, and units completed and transferred. Now units started and completed is easy because it goes from 0 right up to 100. That's units started and completed. How will I know how many units is started and completed? I started working on 45. 20 of them is left. So started and completed is going to be 25. Then the fifth grouping of units is when we add together opening and started and completed. That gives me cars completed and transferred, which is 35 cars. Now, people, it's very important that this line is drawn correctly so that we can see what's going on there. So if we now look at step 2, which is the equivalent unit. So what we have here is we are going to say, right, we are going to have a column for conversion, a column for each material, windows, tires, doors, body parts, total, and our description. Now, in step 2 equivalent units, we want to determine for opening balance, 4 units started and completed, and for closing balance. We would like to determine, did those items receive body parts, doors, tires, windows, and what is the percentage of conversion? So in my total column, I just record the number of units in that specific batch. Then when we look at our material and conversion, remember for opening, I have not added any body parts. If you look there, the blue line does not overlap the red line. Here, the blue line overlaps with doors, with tires, and with windows. So what that means is I've added 100% of the doors, 100% of the tires, 100% of the windows. And conversion tells me what is the portion of the line. I was on 40, I went to 100, so conversion is 60%. So now I can actually go and fill in my units. 0% of 10 is 0. 100% of 10 is 10. 100% of 10 is 10. 100% of 10 is 10. And 60% of 10 is 6. So those are my units. Opening work in process. If I look at units started and completed, because those units, those started and completed, goes from 0 all the way to 100, I will say they'll receive all the body parts, all the doors, all the tires, all the windows, and I will convert them all. With my closing balance, I'm going to look at what did I do this month. If you look there at body parts, you will see that I only added that small portion of the body parts. Now, how will I calculate that portion? First, I will say what is the size of the range. The range is 40 less 0, which is 40. What is the size of the range that it overlaps? Which is 10 less 0 is 10, and that gives me 25%. So for body parts, this will be 25%. Doors, I only got there, I did not get there, is 0%. Tires 0, Windows 0, and conversion 10%. So when we do our calculation now, 25% of 20 is 5, 0, 0, 0. 10% of 20 is 2. So now I can add my equivalent units together. So I can now say in total I have worked on 55 cars. I added body parts to 30. I added doors to 35. I added tires to 35 cars, windows to 35, and I have converted 33 cars. Right, so this step is very important because this is putting what we've got on the timeline, we put that where we have the rest of the information. So our next step that we are going to look at is our cost flow. So that is step 3. In step 3, the cost flow, we're going to continue with our lines. With our same columns that we have for step 2. Now we're going to look at the previous month cost that belongs to opening balance and the current cost. In the question, they tell me that opening work in process was valued at 35,520. They tell me conversion is 2,520. Then the remainder is with body parts of 33,000. How will I know that the 33,000 belongs to body parts? If I go and look at opening, that is the only one that we did not add this month. When we look at the current cost, the question tells me that for body parts it's 143,500. For doors it's 29,750. It's 28,000. For tires it's 18,900. For windows and 20,790. This all gives me 240,940. I can now simply go and add them all. So this is 176. 460, 29,750, 28,000, 18,900, and 23,310, giving me a total cost of 276,460. So now we've got our step 1, our step 2, and our step 3. Now what we're going to do in step 4 is, in step 4 we are now going to say, right, we want to calculate the cost per equivalent unit. So if we look at step 4, we say it's the cost per equivalent unit. Cost per equivalent unit. So now we're going to say, right, we use the same columns. So when you draw your columns, you can see that you will need it for a couple of calculations. Now we're going to say it's the current cost divided by the equivalent units. Please take note, we do not calculate a cost per unit for the total column. We take the cost 143,500, 29,750, 28,000, 18,900, and 20,790. That is our costs. We go to step 2 and we get the totals, which is 30 cars, 35 cars, 35, 35, and 33. So now when we do the calculation, you will see that conversion is going to be 630, windows 540, doors is going to be that is the tires, 800. The doors is 850, and then my body parts is 4,703 rand and 33 cents. Now, in order for me to calculate the total cost per unit, I add all of them together, and it gives me 7,603 rand and 33 cents. One thing that I just now did not include in the calculation is how we got to this 28,000. Remember, we have 35 cars that received tires. So it's 35 cars multiplied by 4 wheels per car multiplied by 200 rand per tire, and that gives me 28,000. Right, so far so good, because now we've got the cost per equivalent unit, we've got all the information, so the only thing that's left for us to do now is we need to complete step 5. Now step 5, people, is where we show the cost and production statement. And in this cost and production statement, we are going to merge the information from step 2 and mainly step 4 to divide this total cost between the different groupings of units. So we're going to start with the opening balance. For opening balance, I'm first going to look at the previous month's costs, which we have as 35,520, plus the current month cost. Now for the current month's cost, people, we are going to say, right, now we list our material, our body parts, our doors, our tires, our windows, and conversion. Now we fetch the units from step 2 for opening work in process. It was 0 body parts, 10 cars got doors, 10 cars got tires, 10 cars got windows, and the equivalent of 6 cars was converted. Now we multiply that with our cost per equivalent unit, 4783.33, 850, 800, 540, and 630. This gives me 0, 8,500, 8,000, 5,400, and 3,780. I can now add these ones together, and it gives me 25,680. If I now add together all of them, I will have the total value of my opening, which is 61,200. We are nearly there. So when we now look at the next grouping of units, is my units started and completed. Remember we said it is 25 cars, multiply, and now I can use the total cost per unit. 190,083.25. Right, opening balance plus units started and completed gives me units completed and transferred. So it's 251,283 rand and 25 cents. The last one remaining is my closing balance. And now once again we can list all the materials. Tires, windows, and conversion. Body parts we have calculated at 5, 0 for door, 0 for tires, 0 for windows, and conversion was 2. We multiply this with our cost per unit, so it's 4783.33, 850, 800, 540, 630. It gives me 23,916.65, 0001260. If I add this together, I will get 25,176 rand and 65 cents. which brings me back at my total cost of 276,459, and for this one it's 0.90 cents. So you will now see that we will balance, or we are out with 10 cents for our total cost that we have in step 3.